Okay, today we're beginning our series on the arithmetic sequence, and this is going to be your homework. You should do your homework out of the study guide on a separate sheet of paper. So make sure you also do the book work. So let's go ahead and start talking about sequences. All a sequence is a set of numbers or a list of numbers that we call terms. They are in a specific order and the terms are separated by a comma. So they're following some pattern, such as this pattern here. Each of the terms 6.3, 14.5, 22.7, 30.9, and 39.1 are terms. Those are separated by the commas that you see. The three dots at the end tell us that we are going on forever, that this sequence continues on and follows some pattern forever. Part of what we do in math is trying to find the pattern that this follows. So sometimes it's pretty easy to see. If the difference between successive terms is a constant, then this would be an arithmetic sequence. Well, if we look at this, what do we mean by the difference between them being constant? If we look between the first two numbers, we see that they differ by 8.2. If we look at the next two, the same, and the same. Always 8.2. Because this is constant, we say that this is arithmetic. The difference between the 8.2 we call the common difference. So the common difference doesn't have to just be positive. We can subtract from going from one term to the next. So for example here we subtract 5 each time. It's a negative 5. So the common difference we say is negative 5. So adding or subtracting a common difference has no difference on the fact that it is a arithmetic sequence. So that common difference is important. Determine whether a sequence is arithmetic. So when we look at the sequence, does it have to always follow that arithmetic rule? We can see that there's a pattern here, 1 to 2 to 4 to 8. We can see that if we look at this from a standpoint of how much are we adding, it doesn't follow the arithmetic pattern, but it does follow another pattern. We multiply by 2. So in this one, you can see you add by 1, add by 2, and add by 4, or you can think of it as we just doubled or multiplied by 2. Because that difference isn't common each time, we say that this is not, it is not an arithmetic sequence. So let's look at a couple examples and let's decide whether or not they are arithmetic. In the first one we can see that going from 16 to 19 is 3, and because every single term differs by that same amount, 3 each time, we have an arithmetic sequence. How about in example 2? You can see that we differ by 3, then by 4, then by 5. This is not an arithmetic sequence because those numbers are not always the same number. There is a pattern being followed, but it's not arithmetic. So you can use that common difference to keep a sequence going. Remember, we said that it goes on forever. Sometimes we will ask you to find the next 3 or 4 terms. So, for example, here's a sequence, and I'm going to ask you to keep that sequence going for 4 terms. In order to do that, you have to find the common difference. You have to find the pattern. The pattern is to subtract 5, or a negative 5 is being added to it each time. And so we will go ahead and continue that pattern. If we continue that pattern, you'll see that negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10, plus a negative 5 again is negative 15, plus a negative 5 is negative 20, and finally a negative 25. So here are three more examples. Let's follow these examples and see if we can do the same thing. Um, Once you've determined that it's arithmetic, you just need to find this common difference. First thing is you should decide if it's arithmetic. All the ones in these examples are, so let's go ahead and see what happens. In the first one, the difference is 3 each time, so that means we're going to continue going up by 3, and we'll get 28, 31, 34, and 37. In the next one, it might be a little harder to see, but if you do your addition or subtraction off to the side, you'll see that the common difference is 1.5. Doing the common difference 4 more times, will give you these numbers 15.5, 17, 18.5, and 20. In the last one, we can see that we're going down by 3. We continue that same pattern to get negative 20, negative 23, negative 26, and negative 29. This was pretty much all there was to this assignment. It was a very simple assignment, but there's some critical things to remember. A common difference, that term you need to know. A common difference is the constant amount that's being added or subtracted in a sequence that's arithmetic. Also, a term, you also need to know what a term is, and you'll need to know how to continue that sequence going forward. So hopefully this helps, and we'll see you on the next lesson.